As much as I want to defend Sakura, as I believe she has good intentions and is trying to put in effort, it's not wise for me to try and explain the nature of the K-pop industry as I understand it as some kind of defense for her position. I made way too many generalizations about K-pop in my attempts to defend her, and in the process, woke up an ancient beast that I had long assumed to be dead. After reading through the constructive comments on the In Defense of Sakura video, I think that making that video was a mistake. No, I'm kidding. I don't regret posting that video because it is how I felt, but I now come out the other side of this whole discussion knowing less than I thought I did about this conversation. As a bit of a disclaimer, or maybe a spoiler, I have not changed my mind about the Sakura situation. That's not what this video is. I made the Sakura video in, I think, around 3 hours, and I posted it immediately, and it's usually videos like that with a fast turnaround rate that I end up regretting them the most. I need to spend at least a couple of days mulling over whether or not a video is good enough to post. But that being said, I do think if I would have waited to post it, I wouldn't have posted it. And in the end, I'm glad that I did because I was able to hear a lot of different and very reasonable perspectives on this. After reading other people's thoughts, I really don't think there's a right answer to this whole situation. There's not an answer that I have anymore. We can wish for idols to commit more to the craft of performance. We can defend them from that as much as we like, but none of that has any sort of meaningful sway over K-pop as an entity. I think the biggest mistake that I made in that video was making the K-pop industry out to be a monolith. I said that despite people's wishes, K-pop as a business model is not going to change. I still kind of agree with this. Despite K-pop companies, of course, having an interest in the wants of fans, there's little we can do to coax companies out of areas that make them money. I don't condone this, as there's a lot more morally concerning aspects of the K-pop industry that I wish we could change, or that we as fans had the power to change, but why this can't be changed, or why I think it can't be changed, is something that I didn't address in the first video. Like many social problems in the K-pop community, there is a sizable amount of people who genuinely don't care about any given issue, or don't see it as an issue at all. In this instance, I was and still am one of those people who don't care. It doesn't hinder my appreciation of K-pop if an idol isn't vocally talented, but that's not how everyone feels. Some people do look forward to idols at the very least being able to sustain themselves vocally during a live performance. For that, I absolutely don't blame them. Considering K-pop is producing and selling music in the end, looking forward to a good performance ability is absolutely reasonable, right? The most common argument I saw in comments was that Sakura has had 13 years to develop herself as a performer, and this sentiment is heightened given that she made the choice to debut in the idol industry again in Le Sserafim. I see this, absolutely to a point, but I also can't give credence to it. None of us... It feels like a cop-out, but this is genuinely how I feel. None of us actually know Sakura or her situation, and the argument then becomes after that we know her experience in the idol industry and should use that to judge her abilities now, but again, Maybe I am just a scorned Sakura fan. What is the actual purpose of doing any of this? I can't see it. It's fine to wish that she was a better vocalist and to decide you don't appreciate her because she's not one. Given that K-pop is heavily performance-based, I don't condemn you for that criticism, but anything more than that is still uncertain to me. To say that K-pop used to be one way or is supposed to be one way, and now the newer fourth generation and newer K-pop fans are ruining the genre or changing it to be something less credible, that argument feels like a projection to me. And I did the same thing, but kind of the inverse. In the first video, I projected way too much, trying to encapsulate the K-pop industry as just one thing in Defense of Sakura, and now in retrospect, I think that is the thing that is unproductive about all of this, more than anything else. Making any kind of statement that K-pop is supposed to be this way, or the K-pop industry behaves in this way, without nuance is wholly unproductive. K-pop is not a monolith, and it never stays the same for very long, and it also changes between companies, labels, and groups. K-pop is a business, it's a business in the music and entertainment industry, and how that dynamic plays out depends on the people in charge of these companies, the people making the decisions, right? I keep wanting to make a definitive statement about K-pop, something as broad as, K-pop companies are always going to do what makes them the most money, but even that is too general sometimes. SM Entertainment, I would say, in a lot of ways, is observably here for the music and art craft of it all. They're the company willing to take very bold risks. I think the production of SM Group's songs, as well as SM Town as an entity, shows their interest in the craft of music and seriously pushing the limits. The collaboration with the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra as another example. SM invests into project and work that isn't always going to return them a massive profit, art, but is going to earn them renown as a figure in music, right? Other K-pop companies and labels don't always adhere to this, or other factors influence their decision-making in the world of music. Not all K-pop companies are after the same thing. K-pop is never going to behave in one specific way or move towards one specific goal, despite what any of us as fans want. And I think that is where I personally need to leave this conversation at. As much as I want to defend Sakura, as I believe she has good intentions and is trying to put in effort, it's not wise for me to try and explain the nature of the K-pop industry as I understand it as some kind of defense for her position. I made way too many generalizations about K-pop in my attempts to defend her, and in the process, woke up an ancient beast that I had long assumed to be dead. My position still remains, however. I haven't changed my mind in this process as much as I wish people didn't criticize Sakura, as I think it always goes too far in the K-pop community. I don't think that I should be the one to police that. I wasn't making that video trying to police it, but with the argument I was trying to make, which is that it's unproductive to criticize K-pop idols for their performance ability, I didn't really leave much room for nuance. The only opposing argument to that is, yes, it is productive, but as I found out, it's a lot more complicated than just that. This is a deeply rooted issue. People having discussions about how hard second and third gen K-pop groups have worked to make K-pop a credible thing in the eyes of the world, and seem to use idols like Sakura as a conduit for K-pop being discredited in the current day. I made that video not aware of this part of the discussion, and now that I am aware of it, I want to lay my sword down. I don't want to tackle an issue like that because, again, we have to make the K-pop industry out to be some kind of sentient being that thinks and behaves in the same way, that has the same goals, in which it does not. I made that video expressly wanting to defend Sakura, as I think the hatred she gets is unfounded, but I also now am particularly sensitive to the fact that people have their reasons for not appreciating her over her lack of vocal ability. I now know not all of this criticism is hatred. There's a lot of reason behind it for a lot of people. Oh, this is an incredibly complex discussion and a very intense one for a lot of people. I was surprised reading through some of the comments. This is quite an emotional topic for a lot of K-pop fans. People projected a lot of things onto me for things that I did not even mention, and I read through the comments kind of dumbfounded at times. But I think that's because it's very easy to project when it comes to K-pop, as it is a form of escapism for most people I know, myself included. I look back at that video and can see myself projecting. In trying to defend Sakura, I reached for too big of a weapon in defense of her and did not know what exactly I was grabbing onto. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say. I just wanted to revisit this discussion and acknowledge that I approached it in a poor way. I did not have a full enough understanding of the larger situation at hand, and so I also am very grateful that people were willing to walk me through their points anyways. I think I have a much better perspective on the situation, or a better view of what this discussion actually represents for people, which is about way more than just Sakura as an idol. My position still remains the same, but I now know that, at least for the time being, I probably should walk away from this. I don't have stakes in the conversation about the integrity of K-pop. I don't even know where to begin with that. Hopefully this made sense. I know this video is trying to diffuse a lot of what I set up, but please, by all means, if you have anything else you'd like to add to any part of this discussion, the first or second video, I'll be interested to know what you think, as always. I don't take the things that I say as concrete facts. I hope you don't as well. I'm willing to have my mind changed, absolutely. So thank you for watching this. Subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next time.